following the American Rescue Act, which was a massive boon to the American public.
Trying to do that bipartisan was a fucking giant mistake. That was a time when you have the halls of Congress, you have the House, you have the Senate. It's time to bully all of your team to do the right thing. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were gonna be fucking thorns in your side, I get it, but you're the fucking president of the United States. Fucking do something. You have more power than you think.
Putting the tampons in the bathroom, that was my favorite. Putting in the men's bathroom, that was popular.
Grow up, bro. We got free school lunches for kids. Let's not minimize the stuff that Tim Wells done. He's done a lot of good. He expanded healthcare in the state. He did a lot of really good shit. It's weird for you to focus specifically on the tampons in the bathroom one. Oh, tampon Tim. Yeah, we get it.
Free lunches for kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. Okay. He got free lunches for kids. So what? You right now are ideologically against that. I can see it on your fucking face. You're evil. What did he actually do? There, I just listed on healthcare specifically, all those things, all of them. What, you hate progress? You hate people being healthy? Fuck you.
Once you get over 4 million, every extra dollar after that is taxed at a 90% rate.
That's what you want.
That is what we
Fuck yes. It's what we need to do. We're trying to build society.
But
do you think that's a popular idea? Do you think that...
Yeah, taxing rich people? Yeah, I think it's a really fucking popular idea. Yeah. It's not popular amongst wealthy people, I'll tell you that. If you're making 14 million as a single individual and still complaining like, why is the government taking too much from me? You're a bitch. Sup, pussy? It's time. We're so fucking excited. I've been waiting to watch this for quite some time, I think. It's PBD. Sam Cedar went on. Was it yesterday? Yeah. Got near 500,000 views already, mate.
Anybody that's a billionaire, his favorite people, absolute big fan. And he's going to tell us why today. We've had him on before. I always respect anybody that is willing to come on, that may have opposing ideas, to sit down and have a conversation. Sam, it's great to have you back on here again.
It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to say that some of my best friends are rich people.
I believe you. Yeah. I believe that you have a lot of rich friends. Trust me, I believe you. Now, the question is, you want them to get taxed 90%, but we'll have that.
Yeah, fucking kill them.
Conversation as well. Gang,
well,
a lot of stories.
Top marginal rate of 90%.
Right, but you're rich too, Sam. Let's not.
I am rich as well.
Rich too. Yeah, you're rich too. Okay, we got a lot of stories to talk about. Sam is.
I am also relatively rich. I am okay with being taxed. I don't know that my bracket would be as high as the one that needs to be taxed at 90%, past a certain point. But yeah, like certainly I would raise my own marginal tax brackets. Like where I am right now, I would raise it. I would double it. Why not? Right? You're like, fuck, yeah, I'm principled. I want to build a better society, and we need taxpayer dollars to do it. Just shoveling it to private corporations, they keep hoarding their money and not doing anything good with it, except making a bunch of shitty treats and things that end up killing us and giving us like chronic disease. I'm just like, long term, billionaires aren't saving our asses. The governments need to do that, and we need to force governments to do it, and we need to give them the resources to do it, which means taxing the people who are hoarding their money. We'll get to it. But like, obviously, yeah.
Obviously, a diehard fan of Elon Musk. He wants to give some more praise to him today. We'll talk a little bit about him. We'll talk about terrorists with Liberation Day. One of the stories, CNBC host hits Trump with insult. He'll hate amid tanking stock market. We'll talk about that story. Frustration grows with commerce.
This is the worst day for PBD to have Sam on, because it's like PBD being a massive Trump supporter and pretty much everybody on the show being like insane Trump dick suckers. Like, they're going to have to try to make an excuse for why they defended the guy when he was saying all of this insane shit. And there were so many Republicans, too, at the time that recognized that, oh, yeah, tariffing every country just blanket across the board would be really fucking dumb. But they were like, oh, he's just saying that. He's just saying that to threaten them. It's just part of his, like, 4D chess strategy. Yeah. He wouldn't actually do it. He's just saying it because... And then he actually does it. And they're like, oh... Well, obviously he had to do that. There's just going to be a little bit of like temporary pain in the form of like a years-long recession, but like it's going to be good. It's patriotic to pay more for literally everything. We were at war with every country in the world, which is why we had to tariff them all. Everyone knows that like during wartime, the country used to be more patriotic in suffering together during wartime. We built things during World War II. I don't understand why people didn't realize that we were just in a global economic war with literally everyone. And poor little baby America was just getting beat up by the herd in McDonald Islands, dude. I had no idea, bro. And people just didn't know that we were in this giant economic warfare and that we just need to suffer right now because it's wartime. Literally, it's, I don't know. Like, what are they going to say? It'll be interesting to hear what they have to say, because what's happening with the tariffs is fucking retarded and everybody should be against it. Just objectively. And if you're, how are they gonna justify it? And how are they gonna defend their stupid asses for supporting the guy who said he was going to do this, and now he's doing it and creating a recession? Even rich people should be upset with this, and I think many are. Just ask my friend who works at JP Morgan, who's now in the levels of craziness where she has to warn her coworkers when she is going to be using a bathroom, because they need to have a certain number of people on the floor at any time.
Secretary Howard Lutnick ahead of Trump's
Feels good.
tariff announcement. Loose cannon with half-baked
Feeling liberated? I'm feeling liberated.
ideas. ESPN's Monica McNutt claims Caitlin Clark is popular because she's a white girl from middle America. This TikTok deal is getting very interesting. We don't know whether...
Caitlin Clark's really... What? Caitlin Clark's good at basketball. What? It's fucking dumb. Are there people who are like, are there definitely racists in the country who are like intensely bitter and jealous that like black people dominate a lot of like the most popular sports in America? Yes. Are there some of those racists who don't pay attention to women's sports, but the moment that like a white woman starts beating black people at the game, like they might pay attention? And maybe, but like it's not that big of a deal. I don't even think it's worth talking about. Why is it a story? Wait, what was it again?
ESPN's Monica McNutt claims Caitlin Clark is popular because she's a white girl from middle...
Yeah, so some random ESPN commentator made this point. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to it.
America. This TikTok deal is getting very interesting. We don't know whether Amazon's going to buy it, whether Andreessen Horowitz is going to buy it, whether they're both...
I thought that we were going to just ban TikTok. What happened? Congress passed legislation to ban TikTok. The Trump administration just said they weren't going to enforce it, basically, and no one cares. Because the that decided to pass that bill realized immediately after that, oh shit, the people who passed that, which the Democrats got blamed for, and Biden signed, by the way, they realized that was going to be super unpopular, and they're like, oh, wait, actually, noops. Oh, we didn't want to do that, actually. They had no fucking good-ass reason to fucking ban TikTok to begin with. I'm going to lose my mind, bro. That was one of the stupidest things Democrats could have done, man.
Obama was working against Kamala Harris behind the scenes. Didn't think she could win. New book reveals. Nevada school ban...
That, to me, is very funny. Just got to say. Because, like, the thing is, for me, like... I'm an analyst. I think Obama's a smart guy. What does he think? Does he think that Biden would have won? I'm wondering. Saying Kamala can't win is like weak sauce stuff, because it's like, I don't know. I probably would have made that argument too, but I wanted to remain optimistic in seeing how badly or how poorly Trump's campaign was going. And like all of the insane shit that he was saying, and hoping that like the insane shit that he's spewing would like wake people up and activate them to get out and vote. But unfortunately, the Democrats being boring and having nothing inspiring as a message hurt them a lot more, unfortunately, than Trump at least was advocating for change. And we're feeling that change. I'm feeling liberated. I'm feeling super liberated. Yeah, sorry, just my points on this, my opinion on this, just briefly. I think that I was pretty much begging for Biden to be primaried as early as the summer of 2023. I was like, please, God, don't let him run. Please, God, let's have a primary and do this right. Because I viewed Biden's continued nothing burger of a presidency in many respects. Again, he did a lot of things, but like not things that people feel in their everyday lives for the most part. And not in a way that they were communicated to as being... to the extent that it did affect their lives, it wasn't very propagandized by the Democrats. Like Joe Biden wasn't out there saying every day, did this get better for you in your life? That was me. That was me. You know, he didn't campaign for himself, basically. So even if the good things that he did do, he didn't project his responsibility for doing, and the Democrats' responsibility for doing those good things. He didn't explain that effectively to the American people. So they didn't know to the extent that he did do good things. But I still think that, like, as far as presidencies go, there were a few areas where he really excelled and was actually quite good and to some extent revolutionary, as far as you could pull that word for like a milquetoast Democrat like him. But like most of the shit, it was like 2 to 5% improvement and some things that just kept deteriorating, you know? I feel like most people felt that their lives had sort of stayed mostly stagnant as they're recovering from COVID. And unfortunately, mostly stagnant was like pretty boring and unsatisfying for a lot of, and a struggle for a lot of people, right? Long-winded way of saying I already thought that Biden couldn't win way before the debate performance. Once the debate happened, I was a very strong advocate for rapid primary because I think that's going to be our best way of determining who the best candidate is to go forward. I think a primary would have been better. And I think Kamala had a decent chance of winning that rapid primary, whatever it would have looked like. Here, let me take this. The reason I wanted a primary is because I wasn't sure Kamala could do it. She lost to Biden in her own primary just a few years back when Biden, to me, was already a clearly like aging and adult old man. Granted, again, like, I'm not saying he's dumb or anything, just he's not fit for the job. He's getting way too old to be doing this shit. And then I was like, she still lost to him. And was one of the first to drop out, I guess mostly as a strategy, showing fealty to whoever wins the primary, and part of the reason I'm sure she got selected for vice president. Whilst maybe a savvy political move for her to get into the primary, get a bit of attention for herself, and then drop out early before the primary voting began. It doesn't necessarily show that she would be like a great leader. In fact, during the primary, her answers to the questions and the stuff that she said were very uninspiring to me and very boring. And I thought, okay, so she's basically just like Black Hillary Clinton. But like maybe less corrupt, I guess. Which I was like, I don't know, it's something, but like, we need something more transformational. Obviously, I was a supporter of Bernie Sanders. And so I was like, she was already shitty in the primary. So I was like, look, if she's changed, if she's gotten so much, if she's had 4 years since then, it's possible that she's improved, and it's possible, you know, that she could manage. We just need to see it. And I don't think we'll see that unless she's tested in a rapid primary. Point being, I guess I agree with Obama to the extent that like I wasn't just supporting Kamala after the Biden debate. Obviously I was calling for Biden to step down and let someone else run, but I wasn't calling for Kamala. I wanted the primary because I didn't think Kamala could do it. So I actually do agree with Obama. It's just funny. I wonder how that thought is elaborated on. Like, how it got to be more nuanced, right? Did he think that Biden should have stayed in? Like, I want to know what he thinks should have been the thing. But anyway,
I think it was 2 years ago that it was, give or take 2 years ago. At the time, it was probably a terrible season for Trump, I think we can say. Trump wasn't having a lot of victories. Trump was at a very low. Republicans were not convinced that he could go. Republicans were thinking it's probably going to be DeSantis or it's going to be somebody else. There was a bit of a...
Were they thinking that? Trump was like, why would Republicans be thinking that? Trump was at the top of the... He never lost the lead in the primary that he didn't participate in. He didn't go to any debate, and he was always at the top. Okay, sure. I mean, Republicans, I'm sure, like, they were having a little bit of debate. Clearly, there were some people who were voting for DeSantis and others who didn't think that Trump could do it, but like... that was like a conversation being had with like at most half of the party, right? Whatever.
Split in the Republican Party and the MAGA. Like, I don't know. Even when he opened up his announcement that he's running at Mar-a-Lago, there was not a lot of people there. People saying, I don't even know, this person wasn't there, that person wasn't there, this person wasn't there. And then you get these CNN polls. Rob, if you can pull up the CNN video showing where the Democratic Party is at today. Play this clip, and I want to ask you.
He's like, look at Democrats. They suck. Yeah, okay.
What happened to the Democratic Party? Go for it.
Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the...
Can I just explain to you the very obvious reason why this happened? Chuck Schumer whipped votes to vote no on cloture. He didn't shut down the government. That's why. It was one of the few pieces of leverage that Senate Democrats had, and Schumer just gave it up and allowed the Republicans to continue running the government as they have been running it with Elon Musk at the top. Running the government, i.e. literally destroying and attempting to destroy almost all of its agencies. But like, whatever. The lowest and to put more and more power, consolidate more and more power into the executive branch of the government under Trump. And Musk, let's be clear.
For Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%.
Good.
And just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers. What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77%. Should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C. 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say this should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise.
33%, and that was in 2017? Well, yeah, because they weren't doing outright fascist shit. I can understand that. Should we have shut down the government for, to prevent those tax cuts? I don't know. I wasn't politically engaged enough to know if that was a smart decision or not. And I don't think that the Democrats had the ability to do that anyway. The Republican Party in 2017 held all three branches of government, right? Or they held both the House and the Senate, right? The Supreme Court hadn't done its full complete flip yet, right?
Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. Wow. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at all-time low, even among Democrats.
Rob, if you want to pause that. Sam, what happened? What happened to the Democratic Party?
Well, I should start by saying I always thought that Trump would be the nominee. 2 years ago, I was wondering why Rando.
It was fun to watch the debates. I liked seeing all the Republican actors dance on stage. But we knew it was going to be Trump. He didn't even show up at the debates, and he kept destroying in the polls. So whatever.
DeSantis was lighting his career on fire by trying to run against Donald Trump, to be honest with you. I think, Trump and the Republican Party, I think they're one and the same. And so that doesn't surprise me. Those numbers are some of the most encouraging numbers I've seen in the 20 some odd years I've been doing this, because I want to see
we should be mad
to Democratic leadership that we want you to fight. And I've been riding Chuck Schumer for 10 years, trying to get him. I mean, Harry Reid was a great, I think, as far as they go, leader of the Senate for Democrats. But I think it's time for new leadership in the Democratic Party. We need and this is not even ideological from my perspective. I think there are Democrats that I agree with and Democrats that I disagree with on an ideological standpoint. But I think a different generation of Democrats understand that the Republican Party is intransigent. There is no negotiating with them. I think the biggest mistake that Joe Biden made was following the American Rescue Act, which was a massive boon to the American public.
Trying to do that bipartisan was a fucking giant mistake. That was a time when you have the halls of Congress, you have the House, you have the Senate, very, very slim majority, but you have the Senate. It's time to bully all of your team to do the right thing. That's what a strong president would do. It's what Trump does. Trump has a tiny majority in the House. He gets his people to vote for retarded shit. They voted for the continuing resolution in the House. All of the Republicans got in line, except for Thomas Massie, voted for the quote-unquote continuing resolution, which allowed Trump to keep doing the tariffs. It was the continuing resolution that said, let's keep funding the government, things should keep as they have been, and as they have been under Trump. That was what they voted for. That continuing resolution has led to Trump enacting these tariffs, which are literally destroying the economy and leading us to a recession. And potentially a global recession, since we are the center of commerce. So it's just why can the Republicans use power and Trump use power and strength to do disastrous, retarded things, but the Democrats can't use their strength to do good things that would actually benefit the vast majority of people and maybe excite some of those randos out there who are suddenly getting benefits from the government to come out and vote. All of those non-voters out there who have completely lost faith in the government to do anything for them. Why don't you make government do something for them so that they come out and fucking vote for you? Bully your party into that position. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were going to be fucking thorns in your side. I get it. But you're the fucking president of the United States. Fucking do something. You have more power than you think. Trump realizes that. Trump utilizes his power for evil all the fucking time. How does Trump manage to get bills passed that reduce the things that Biden did to cap overdraft fees? Biden was doing things to cap overdraft fees, a thing that everybody in their right mind who has any amount of just decent sympathy for poor people who can't afford just basic necessities without overdrafting? How do they manage to get together to be like, yeah, let's get rid of that. No more cap on that. How do they come together to do evil shit like that? Because Trump uses his fucking power, dude, and the Democrats don't, and clearly we need new leadership. It's been clear to me since 2016 when they tried to, or 2015 when they tried to shove Hillary Clinton down our throats, and they did, and we lost. But whatever. It's gonna take me a long time to get through this fucking video, yeah? Okay, we'll see. All right, I wasn't. I don't know where we left off. What's Sam talking about right now?
Rescue Act.
I just played Trackmania, by the way, a cup of the day, and got a win for Div 20. I mean, it's something. I'll take the win, but it's like it wasn't great. Anyway,
which was a massive boon to the American public. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year. I just want to repeat that. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year. Because of that act when Biden first got in. And you know what Republicans were talking about after we passed bills that cut child poverty in a year, that extended unemployment benefits, that provided food stamps, that provided health insurance? Republicans were talking about 2 books that the Dr. Seuss publisher decided not to publish. And so in my mind, the Republican Party there is completely bankrupt of ideas. And Joe Biden, instead of pushing through Build Back Better over that summer, he opened the door for the Republicans to give a proposal. That went nowhere for 3 months. Then he opened the door for Kristen Sinema and Rob Portman to come in and give a proposal. And that ultimately, I think, is when Democratic voters started getting impatient with Biden, because we were thinking $5 trillion, $4 trillion. Joe Manchin was saying $6 trillion Build Back Better bill. And we never got anything like that. It ended up getting split into the IRA, which was a good bill, but I think insufficient. And then infrastructure stuff, also important, but insufficient. And so I think what you're seeing is frustration from Democratic voters who are saying, and
to the, again, I guess I already said this, but to the extent that it did do good things, Biden didn't like tout his achievements on that. He didn't say, hey, this is what, like the big one is we cut child poverty in half. We cut child poverty in half. That's really, really good. A huge component of that was the child tax credit, which expired. Ah, damn. Well, let's put in a good thing that is definitely going to expire. You know what I mean? Instead of putting it in for a long period of time and forcing people to say, hey, this isn't working, and then forcing the Republicans to like repeal it, you know? They'd be like, hey, they're taking away the child tax credit, which cut child poverty in half. Why do they want child poverty to go up? Right? It would have been harder to get rid of, but instead they were like, oh, let's just do it for like 2 years, see how it goes, and then it expires if we can't renew it. All right, and then that happened, and then so you cut child poverty in half, and then you let it spike again. So, yeah, I don't know. It was good, but like it's not sufficient.
You're not fighting. B, you're allowing the Republicans too much opportunity. And C, we need more government intervention.
Do you think it's more that they're not fighting, or do you think that their policies are simply bad policies and they're not landing?
No, I think it's that they're not fighting. What are the policies?
So tell me what policies are. Like right now, the Democratic Party. Who is the face of the Democratic Party, and what are the top 3 things you guys stand for?
What?
Well, I don't think there is no face of the Democratic Party at the moment. I mean, Chuck Schumer is nominally the highest elected Democratic official that's out there.
That's not a good sign for you guys.
100%. I agree. I call for him to resign every day. I don't know that there is a single. I don't think the Democratic Party has coalesced around an agenda. We're having a. There's a fight within the Democratic Party.
What do you like? Do you have someone you like that you would want to see, or do you want to see the capitalistic competitive philosophy of somebody just comes out and lets you who it is? Because if there is, even you right now, Sam,
capitalistic. I don't understand
what I mean by capitalistic, like competitive.
The capitalist equals competitive. It's like what? It's good for him to like competition. He like throws in the capitalist. Whenever competition is involved, he throws in capitalism because he thinks, oh, capitalism means good competition and everyone's fighting and it's good competition. He thinks that like capitalism is sort of bred from good competition. You know what I mean?
Let's just see who comes out.
Competition predates capitalism.
Yeah, so that's good. The competition is a good thing.
I mean, I think, obviously there's going to be a competition.
Is there anyone you like?
Well, I think there are policies that I like that are expressed by like Sanders and AOC on their tour, their anti-oligarchy tour. I mean, obviously, I think there are other, policies that are floating around that I don't know that they're necessarily embodied in politicians yet. People are looking. There's a lot of stuff that Tim Walz did in Minnesota that I think is great.
Putting the tampons in the bathroom, that was my favorite. Putting in the men's bathroom, that was probably
grow up, bro.
Be one of the best ones. putting that because that's
No. The best one was getting free school lunches for all the kids in his state. That was the best one. Shut up with this tampon and no. Immediately I want to just like fucking shout at the guy. Oh yeah, really big spender that was, putting the tampon in the men's bathrooms, as if that was like a big thing that like cost a whole lot of money, or that people were actually genuinely upset about. If anything, it was like it led to a bunch of, it was like waste, because guys would like steal the tampons from the men's bathroom and then resell them or something, right? Like, to the extent that it was a bad policy, it was like a bad policy that cost maximum $100,000 from the entire state. We got free school lunches for kids. Let's not minimize the stuff that Tim Well's done. He's done a lot of good. He expanded healthcare in the state. He did a lot of really good shit. It's weird for you to focus specifically on the tampons in the bathroom one. Oh, tampon Tim. Yeah, we get it. You want to focus on the good things that he did? No, we don't want to focus on that. Shut up. Fucking coward.
Type of policy that I think
Shut
that
up,
we need
Vinny.
in the country.
No, hang on. Tell me what Walz did that you liked.
That was my
Substantially, statistically, that Walz did.
I think things like lunches for kids, expanding educational opportunities.
Wait a minute. There
Expanded healthcare.
weren't lunches for kids. There wasn't federal money from the Department of Education. Free lunches for kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Okay. Sure. Okay. He got free lunches for kids. So what? You right now are ideologically against that. I can see it on your fucking face. You're evil.
No, let's go. I really want to hear it, because a lot of this was federal money that floated. I really want to know.
Well, other states reject expansion of Medicare and Medicaid. I should say Medicaid in Minnesota.
Yep.
He provided for
expansion to who specifically?
To through the ACA to people making 400% of poverty. He's got.
Wait a minute. Medicaid is designed. If I walk in with a broken leg to a public hospital, right? That Medicaid is there to take care of me if I'm destitute and unable to it. That's a good thing. And that's exactly the things that California did, and it was already there. What was expanded?
What the fuck are you talking? What are you talking about, dude? Do we need to look it up? I read an article about this the other day. God, he's gonna make me fucking do it. Hold on. Okay. AJMC relatively. Yeah, enhancing mental health infrastructure. Signed a $92.7 million omnibus mental health budget bill into law, strengthening Minnesota's healthcare infrastructure. $60 million to increase hospital bed capacity, attract new mental health professionals, and expand mobile crisis units. An additional $30 million to improving services for individuals in the criminal justice system who are not found competent to stand trial. Great, fine. Okay, moving on. It protected abortion and gender-affirming care, which is something that you don't agree with, and that's fine. So suck my dick on that one. Great. Expanded access to affordable care. Reduce medical debt burdens. He made it easier for eligible state residents to purchase insurance. That's not great. MNsure, the state's official health insurance marketplace, has signed up a record number of Minnesotans for private health plans. I don't like that, actually. Whatever. Also, but it got more people insured, so that's good. Just whatever. Signed into law, eases the burden of medical debt for state residents, offering a number of protections, including preventing medical debt from impacting credit scores. That's really good. Including eliminating medical debt transfers to a patient's spouse. That's nice. Strong protections from look, there's a lot of stuff here, dog. I know you can't see it right now. I'm sorry. Wait, improving environmental health and safety. This is just like broader environmental stuff. Clean Cars Initiative. I don't care so much about that. Reduce prescription drug costs. Increase transparency. Took significant steps to reduce prescription drug costs and improve insulin affordability in Minnesota. Recognizing the financial burden high medication places on families while championing legislation aimed at capping out-of-pocket costs for insulin. The Minnesota was the first state to enact such a law. I'm just, okay, like, you're trying to pretend like, oh, well, what did he do? What were the things that he actually did? I mean, you're just saying, it seems like you just like the guy. It seems like you're pretty biased. I mean, like, well, what did he actually do? There, I just listed on healthcare specifically, all those things, all of them. What, you hate progress? You hate people being healthy? Fuck you.
What was expanded about that in Minnesota?
You're expanding the pool of people who can access Medicaid on a state-by-state basis. There's still, I don't know, half a dozen states, Republican states, that don't allow that expansion of Medicaid.
Okay, so you're
not aware of that?
So you can, yeah, I'm absolutely.
Yeah,
aware
I know.
But what I want to ask you is when you
so we expanded Medicaid. You got more people fucking healthcare. It's a good thing. You're evil. He's evil.
In Medicaid, it is a fact that basically you close the public hospitals. And so what you're talking about,
What?
Did
That's not true.
No, literally not
ask
true.
Gavin Newsom. Ask him what happened to King Drew in Los Angeles. This is well documented. I'm stunned.
No,
don't
you
know
can
that.
you can do a choice if you want to close a public. I mean, Andrew Cuomo closed a lot of public hospitals in New York State. That's not a function of Medicaid payments.
You want to go take a look at California and King Drew and what happened? Gavin Newsom himself talked about it.
I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom, but you're asking me about Walz, and
No, we didn't ask about Walz. You were talking about. You said you like some of the things.
Yeah.
Walz
No,
did.
you asked specifically about Walz. Oh my God, I hate them.
what I like about Tim Walz.
No, you said you
and I
like.
wanted one of the specifics of the things that he did.
Yeah, and then he gave specifics of the things that he did, and then you moved on to a conversation about how, like, expanding Medicaid closed public hospitals. Okay, well, he expanded Medicaid, and the Minnesota public hospitals are still open. You're talking about California now. California, like, Gavin Newsom's a different guy. We're talking about Tim Walz. Fucking retarded, bro. Shut up.
Right. Okay. So, but continue with the following, Sam, if you don't mind, because this is what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah.
So, one, the Republican Party, like you said, I knew 2 years ago that Trump would be a DeSantis, all this other stuff.
Right.
We were on the same page. I thought it was going to be him. But a lot of Republicans were a little bit still staying safe and hesitant of whether they were going to go all in or not the first time you
Sure.
guys spoke.
Fine.
But today, when I said, who do you like? What policies? You said, I like what AOC is doing. You said Sanders, anti-oligarchy, all that stuff, right?
I have a different, I think, way of looking at politics. Maybe
There's
than
a
you do.
different
It's not for me,
ideology.
like,
You guys have
candidate.
you guys have fundamentally different beliefs about how government should function. So, like, it's natural that we're going to have disagreement. We can talk more about the policies. We're talking about increasing marginal tax rates. We're talking about taxing these corporations for their fair share. We're talking about, like, redistributing a lot of that wealth towards social programs that help people when they're in desperate need. We're talking about investing in education and investing in, yes, manufacturing in certain industries that can help boost our economy. Like, there's stuff that we can do.
Emerges.
Oh,
who
God, for fuck's sake.
embraces a wider set of my preferred policies. That's the one I'll support. I don't really get too involved in the individual, frankly. I mean, Joe Biden was not my favorite candidate by a long shot in 2020.
Yeah.
The fact that there were coalitions built out of Warren and Sanders supporters that ended up bringing us a much better set of labor policies than we've seen in my lifetime, from my perspective.
Right.
With the National Labor Relations Board, with just the appointments of people like Abruzzo as the general counsel there.
Lena Khan, FTC.
The extension of unions' ability to unionize and helping working people in that way, and then the antitrust regime that was largely a function of like the Warrenites putting in their people to undermine big concentration of money and power. Those are big positives. So, do I like Joe Biden? No, but I also know that if there are the right coalitions formed that have influence within the context of an administration, that's good from my perspective.
Got it. But to me, like running a business or politics, right? Or
Why? No, stop. Business and politics are different things. Kill me. What is wrong with these people's brains, dude? So, okay, so I run a business, and so I think about everything through how I run my business, and I analyze politics through the same fucking lens. Well, you're a fucking idiot. You're not supposed to do that. Politics is not a fucking business. It's not the same.
shifts when people all of a sudden look at you and they say, I don't like these ideas anymore. So in the Democratic Party, you have a lot of different people that would...
We're going to spend half of our fucking time talking about trans people, aren't we? Jesus fucking Christ.
Different policies. Hey, I think we should do this, and I think we should do that. Great. Obviously didn't land November 5th, 2024, whether it was Kamala Harris, whether it was the policies, whether it's 7 states you lose, battleground states you lose, whether it's the majority. It was a bad loss. It was a humiliating loss.
Sure. Fine. Don't disagree.
One could say it was Kamala. One could say it was Obama. One could say it was Biden stepping...
Obama? How did Obama hurt the... What the fuck are we talking about? He doesn't understand anything about politics. How is it Obama's fault that Biden and Harris fumbled the election to the biggest retard in the country? Second biggest retard, sorry, behind Musk.
One could say it's Schumer, one could say it's Pelosi. Let's set that part aside. To me, the most basic part is ideas. If someone has ideas, that's...
Ideas. I think the reason that the Democrats lost is because their ideas are shit. That's the only explanation.
Producing results that people like, they want to continue that, right? And we watched, like if I ask a Democrat, even right now, I ask you for 15 minutes, I still don't know if Democrats know what they're for. Like,
well,
what
I'm not, I'm not speaking for the Democratic Party. I can tell you what I'm for.
Tell me what you're for.
Oh, I am for universal health care, single payer health care.
Yep.
I am for increased ability to unionize. I am for decommodifying parts of the housing sector. I am for decommodifying power. I am for decommodifying access to the internet.
Yes,
those are my big ones, right?
based. Ooh, Everybody should have internet access. Why am I having to pay fucking Verizon? It doesn't need to be high speed, but everyone should be at least be able to like get on the internet and like watch some like videos at like 480p or something. You know what I mean? Like everyone should have the internet. It's so necessary.
I think
who in your party is for that?
Well, who in the Democratic Party is for that? I don't know that there's
not many. There's too much progress to be made. Like the party right now is shit. It's full of a bunch of corporate hacks that don't want to do any of the good things that I want to do in form of redistribution. They're corrupt. They don't want to offend the businesses the same way that the Republicans don't. What do you mean? I'm sure if you really you ask Bernie what he thinks at his core, he would 100% agree with Sam on a lot of that stuff. But when it comes to okay, here's how I'm going to advocate for policy and what we can do, you're going to say decommodifying housing, as correct and as good of an opinion that might be. Everyone, including yourself, everyone's minds I can see are exploding right now. Like, how on earth are we supposed to just give people homes? Aren't they supposed to work their entire lives before they can afford one of those? Come on. We obviously there's going to be a lot of pushback against those ideas. I mean, something as simple as just making sure everyone has health care is a controversial opinion in American politics. So it's like, I understand that there's going to be limits to what people will publicly say they want to support. Bernie Sanders probably supports these things in ideologically, but in terms of policy, in terms of the things that he prioritizes, what he can push the Democratic Party further to the left on, he's going to focus on probably healthcare mostly and labor related things, and taxing billionaires more. All of which I'm in support of. So it's again, there's going to be stuff that I disagree with Bernie on. He hasn't been as vociferous and critical of Israel as I'd like. Sure. Okay. I'm going to disagree with him on that. What do you mean? It's unfortunately people aren't pushing for that, but there are people who are pushing for close to that. I think you could look at Zohran Mamdani, New York City mayoral primary runner or primary candidate. I think he's the type that would very publicly be no, we should probably decommodify some of this housing. Yeah, no, we should have publicly owned grocery stores, much like the military. They function, very similarly. People in the military buy groceries for themselves. They don't go to fucking Acme or whatever. I mean, they can if they want, but they have grocery stores on the military base that are owned by the government. You can do that, right? Why is the military so fucking special? We could do that. Why can't we do that? If we can buy wholesale from the government, some basic things at grocery stores, things that rice, beans, just the basic shit that people could go to the store, buy, bring home, and keep that at a lower price, make those grocery stores a little bit more competitive. I think that'd be a good thing. Obviously, it needs to be. Look, I think the private grocery stores are going to be a disadvantage, but that's a shame because people being able to eat is a necessary component of it's a public good. If people are starving, society collapses, right? You need people to be fed regardless of if they can afford it. And so it's you have to work for all of your food and you have to work for all of your rent and you have to work for all these things that you literally need to live. And if you can't, then, oh yeah, we'll do some SNAP benefits, but we'll means test it. So you have to be poor. If you can afford your food, pay for your food, dipshit, right? Where instead of being well, why don't we just have this shit publicly owned? Either give some of it away for free because we're rich enough, or really drive down the cost so that we don't need to have this weird means testing. Everybody can get rice and beans at really cheap prices. Everyone can have a home with the stove, and we can encourage them to here are some easy meals that you can make that would be really cheap and blah blah blah, and also super tasty. Not a lot of time to prepare, etc. There's ways to build this stuff out for all of society so that we're all better benefiting. All I'm saying, things like grocery stores don't need to be these business machines that we turn into, well, how efficiently can we do this and how much profit can we make? Profit's not the important part with food, right? Making enough food to keep everybody fed is what matters when it comes to food. That's all I fucking care about. I want it to be tasty at the end of the day too. But yeah, right. And no one's arguing, everyone gets free 5-star, meals from 5-star restaurants or whatever. We're just saying dude, the basics, some some allotments of rice, beans, some basic foods that people can eat and cook for themselves in their decommodified housing or whatever, that would be fucking sick. We can do that. It's going to take a long time to get there. That's why people don't really advocate for these positions generally. And by the way, I guess I'm super sidetracked, but I was pointing to specifically Zoran Mamdani, who's probably the most left-leaning politician with any amount of steam at the moment, you know, that I could point to and be like, yeah, he believes in some of these like base socialist things. And I actually support him for mayor of our city. That would be fucking sick. We'll see.
Anybody who in our party who embraces all of those, I mean, that is a major political figure. I mean, I think I'm to the left of the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
there are elements of what I want that are represented by people in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, like Bernie Sanders.
Having a
you already mentioned them, but
a very jaundiced eye to the overwhelming concentration of wealth and wealth disparity, I think is a fundamental problem that we have in this country. I think too much of what happens in this country is a function of the concentration of wealth. I mean, that gets back to why I want to return back to the tax regime we had in the 50s and the 60s, where the top marginal rate was 90% for every dollar above what today's money would be about $4 million. So, and just to explain this, because I've seen so many people on the right not understand marginal tax rates that it's almost disturbing. The first $1 million that you earn is taxed at 32%, or whatever the prevailing rate is. The second $1 million you earn, 32%. The third, 32%, because I think that's the highest. Maybe it's 37% is the highest. Once you get over 4 million, every extra dollar after that is taxed at a 90% rate.
That's what you want.
That is what we
fuck yes. It's what we need to do. We're trying to build society. We want everyone to be comfortable and happy and healthy and have a home and to not like have to turn to drugs because they can't afford basic shit. Like, we don't want people to be homeless. We're trying to build society. Yes, you need money to do that. And private companies aren't going to just start like randomly collaborating together to fix all of these fucking problems. They're going to, the reason that we're seeing a lot of these issues is because these capitalist corporations are creating a lot of these problems.
Had in this country for several decades in the post-World War.
Why do you think that's good, though? Because we talked about this. Why do you think that's good?
I'll tell you. Because it flattens wealth disparity.
Okay.
And that is when you have the greatest expansion of the economy.
Right. When
the wealth of the country is shared by as many people as possible. Right. Obviously, it's not everybody gets the same amount, but...
Do you think that's a popular idea? Do you think that...
Yeah, taxing rich people? Yeah, I think it's a really fucking popular idea. Yeah. It's not popular amongst wealthy people, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I understand, but they are not all of us, okay? Most of us are poor as fuck, so yeah.
Do you think 80% of Americans want that? Americans want that?
80% of Americans? Yeah. They don't, and some of them don't even know that they want that. A lot of them, there's a good chunk of Republicans that have been brainwashed into believing that rich people getting to keep and hoard all of their money is actually a good thing. So yeah, like there's plenty of dumb people out there, or not dumb people, but people who have been intentionally misled by Republicans on this. But I think if you really got down to it and said, okay, like say that you were making like $4 million a year, what would you do with that? And you'd be like, oh, well, I do a lot of things with that. And you'd say, okay, like, so if every dollar after 4 million, so say you're making 100 million. So what is it? 96 million of that gets taxed at 90%. So what, you get about 10 million on top. So like after your first 4 million, which you get to keep what, approximately like 3 million of, like you make 100 million after that, and then you get to keep another 10 million. So like that year you made 14 million. What is that? I'm sorry. And this is just personal income. This isn't like what your business is taking home or whatever. I think I'll be like people, an individual making that much money needs to be taxed that significantly higher. If you're making 14 million as a single individual and still complaining like, why is the government taking too much from me? You're a bitch. You're a bitch. No, but I need my like $40 million home. It's going to take me like 5 whole years to save up for my $40 million home if you tax me that high, even though I'm making 100 million a year. What the fuck?
I think if I was to show Americans,
You've been showing for 20 years.
No. Yeah, put up a
No. You've been showing for 20 years, and the Republicans have been lying about what's going on for 20 years. Shut the fuck up.
Of income disparity.
Right.
You put up a graph of income disparity. Americans are shocked when they realize how much money is held by the top 1% in this country. Really, the top 0.1% relative to the rest. I mean, like literally a handful of families have more money and more wealth in this country
than the bottom
than
50.
50% of the population.
There's so many questions to that. For me, the question is the following. Here's where I'm trying to go with a guy
Okay,
like
you show that to 80% of Americans, and there's no questions. You're going to be like, what the fuck?
You know what?
I don't know if I
you know
can
what
swear
else you
on
can
it.
show? You can't because you're a guest. But you know
I
what
can?
else? You can. CAN.
Okay,
You can. You can. You're a guest. So if somebody could go and say, okay, why don't you pull up who pays the most taxes in America? The top 1% pays 50% of taxes in America. Okay, so you can give that argument. So to me, if we go back and forth, but this is the part I want to do with this specific argument, this specific idea, where I want to go with a guy like you. Okay, is I think sometimes like the Democratic Party, you go to a message, and you know how Trump tests things out. Yeah, Greenland. It's Greenland. Yeah, Greenland. It's going to be so one way or another. We're not going to go to World War I. Yeah, you know, third term. I'm not talking about third term, but a lot of people are talking about third term.
He's A/B testing. You're just talking about it. He's only thinking about it from the perspective of owning a business. He's like, there's this thing in the business that we call A/B testing. Cenk says the same thing. He's like, Trump's A/B testing this, and he's A/B testing. Okay, fine, I get it. Like, yeah, he throws out random policies and then sees how people react, and then he does what he thinks people react to, and that's specifically to his base. Obviously, he's not listening to fucking Democrats, right? Like, he throws out third term. Half of the country thinks, what the fuck? You're a fucking maniac. Are you okay? Or what's wrong with you? And then half of his base is like, yeah, I mean, maybe third term. I love Trump. I love the economy collapsing. Yeah, like, okay, sure. What point does this make? What point does this even make?
Yeah, Canada should just be a 51st state. Governor Trudeau. Trump will throw these things out there, okay? And then the market reacts to it. And
All right.
What is he talking about? And then I believe this is how I do it as a business.
I know this is how you do it as a business person. You think about politics as business, which is stupid. Okay. Bro, okay. If that was the case, he would have backed off the tariffs like months and months and months ago. If what you're saying is true, he would have backed way the fuck off of tariffs. And you're lying because, like, a good chunk of the people who listen to Trump and believe what he says are part of his fucking cult. And so if he says that tariffs are good, they're just suddenly going to believe that it's good. Not because it actually is, but because Trump said it. And so, like, you're already, like, completely misanalyzing. When he's quote-unquote A/B testing, he's actually also setting the narrative. He's not just throwing something out there and seeing how people react. He's throwing something out there and then convincing a huge chunk of the population who are like diehard Trump supporters, like cultists, what through and through, that will just now suddenly believe whatever he's saying, even if it would be against their own interests. They don't care.
Business owner, you kind of, I'll be.
Yeah, let's get rid of all the undocumented immigrants in the country. All of the farmers who rely heavily upon undocumented immigrants doing hard labor on their farms, being like, okay, well, I guess I still support Trump. Yeah, like it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like there's not like a 1-to-1 on that. And again, it's because it's politics. It's not a fucking business. It's not the same. It's not a market. Jesus fucking Christ.
Never forget one time I brought 9 of my guys and I dropped an idea on them. You should have seen the reaction on everybody. You know what the reaction was? They looked at me like I was high. They looked at me like I am on shrooms. They're like, what the fuck? Pat, respectfully, these are terrible ideas. So you know what happens to a business owner? They're so used to coming up with bad ideas. What do? They move on with bad ideas. So to me, Trump gets up there and says, what do you think about this? And then he looks, he says, okay, what's the guy that I respect? Okay, this guy's pretty reasonable. What did he say? What did she say? Okay, let's move on. To the Democratic side, somebody like you.
What is he say? What is he saying? He's not even saying anything. All right. I gotta eat some food, man.